Welcome to Eureka Street Crypto. This is my anti-professional crypto channel. I'm just a barely sane dude who fell down the cryptocurrency rabbit hole. This channel is my fumbling attempt to communicate myself outside my own head about my journey in the crypto space. It is basically my brain dump. None of this is actual financial advice. Good morning, everybody. I'm Eureka John, and you're at Eureka Street Crypto, broadcasting live once again for the second time this morning. I'm doing a total double header, kind of workaholic maybe, I don't know. But this is episode number 300. Oh, I need to edit this. This is episode number 379 for this show. So that still says 376 from my interview a couple days ago and January 3rd. So let me just quickly edit that. This is just my brain dump, aka video blog. And I've met a lot of cool people in this space, and particularly through the BanklessDAO. And today I have with me James Montgomery and Ivan here from the BanklessDAO. So they're fellow DAO compadres. And today we're going to be talking about automating governance. A lot of you people might not know what that is, so we're going to explain that. Don't worry, you won't be left in the dust, because that's what this show is all about, is discovering new concepts, making mistakes along the way, and trying to see as far as the headlights will go, and then be able to possibly anticipate what will come on next in the headlights. So that's what it's all about. So welcome, James and Ivan. Welcome to the show. If you want to introduce yourselves and talk about where you're coming from and how you got to this.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us, Eureka John. My name is James. So my name is James W. Montgomery.eth, I suppose now, for the internet. Some background on me: I come from tech, a lot of front end work, and I got started out with the BanklessDAO during the Genesis. Actually, I was brought on to the Genesis team to build out the initial website and the initial claim mechanics for the BanklessDAO airdrop. Since then, kicked up the Developers Guild, where I currently still organize, and they're organizer there. And we basically help developers find all the opportunities across the DAO from all the different projects and guilds and things that need to be built out there. And through that work and through that history at the BanklessDAO, particularly on the governing side of things and creating these structures, I find that we're doing a lot of things manually. And always the developer in the back of my mind is saying, we can automate this, we can make this better, we can improve it. And so that's where we find ourselves, Ivan and I, in trying to automate some of these governance processes that currently run lots of the BanklessDAO season over season. What that means specifically is elections, mostly. That's the first big thing that we'll attempt to tackle, in that each of these guilds and projects every season, which is about 3 months, we'll have the opportunity to say, hey, who wants to do these jobs? Who wants to have these roles and lead these initiatives? Whether it's organizing the guild calls, or being someone who's going to connect talent to projects, or be in charge of our POAPs. And then greater things like that, like who leads greater org initiatives and things like that. So automating governance is one of the things that I'm paying attention to here in season 3 of the BanklessDAO, and to replace some of the manual effort that goes in for managing those things.
Oh, I think we lost audio.
Okay, cool. All right. So
there we go.
All right. Thanks for that, James. Ivan, where are you coming from here?
Thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming on. Seriously.
No. Well, I want to say, you're so consistent, man. That's so awesome. You're at 379. I think you said you've only missed like a few, right?
I've never missed a day, even days where I tried. I've had failures of recordings, and I've had to trash an episode or two that didn't really make it up. But as far as recording, I've never missed a day, and I can show you proof.
No, I mean, that's awesome. I just wanted to say thank you. And I like that consistency, man. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I come from, BanklessDAO. I got a cool email once I signed up for the newsletter and said, hey, you should join the DAO. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this. So currently I help out with some of the audio visual, and now I'm also helping here with governance. And I know that a lot of your viewers, listeners are newer, and governance is just the attempt to make sure that we have some structures set in place, in order for the DAO to run, such as roles, role holders within the DAO, guild members that are deciding, maybe not the leader in sense, but in a way helping the rest of the guild with the vision. So governance is really important, and automation in the DAO is actually pretty interesting. A lot of these things I thought, because I'm also a noob, I thought it was already being done. I thought some of these things, I didn't know that so much of it was manual. So when I spoke to James, I was blown away, and I said, man, there's so much opportunity here. So I was very excited to jump on board and to try to help out. I think what's unique about this is that I'm not a developer, and my knowledge in coding is minimal. And when he was explaining what he wants to do, I was like, let's simplify it even more, because I kind of get what you're trying to say, but I want to break it down so that I understand it. So I think that was pretty interesting, and that's really the goal that we're trying to get to, and trying to simplify it so that other people in the DAO understand what we're trying to do, so that it's something that people want to use, and that it actually brings a good use case and purpose, and it's going to make their life a lot easier. And I think it's also going to make it so that it creates some level of maybe even playing field for everybody, because this is going to start at the same time for everybody. And I think James mentioned that there was some times where, because it's so manual, maybe we went a day or two beyond the set specified date for the role holder. In this case, it was a POAP role. And for other people that want to be a part of that, maybe they're like, hey, it was supposed to be done this day and it hasn't been done. So it creates more consistency as well. So yeah, very excited to continue to work through this, and to hear more of your thoughts, Eureka, and also James.
Okay. Yeah. Governance to me, I mean, I have a seminary background, so I immediately go to like, all humankind's attempts to objectify anything outside of themselves, and to put the blame for anything bad that happens not on us, and to create systems to try to avoid that blame. And you can go back 40 and thousands of years ago, and you go back to the Ten Commandments, Leviticus, the Constitution. All these are attempts of humans, Hammurabi's codes, to be able to objectify some kind of process to where humans can say, this is not us making this decision. This is a higher power or code or something like that that is not human. And so therefore it is law. You can't argue with that. So what governance tries to do, it tries to anticipate and eliminate and standardize any and every possible argument that could come, and say, well, no, your argument, the answer to your argument points to right here, in this code. So that's kind of where I see modern days. We're trying to automate that process, because everybody was always trying to point to some kind of divine revelation as the author of this code. So now we have code being written, and even AI now that is going to be generating code and creating these processes. And so this is really fascinating to me now that we're trying to automate governance, and the next step is AI automating governance. And where does this go? And yeah, so any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's really interesting. From my perspective, the governance that we're working on, it's kind of in line with what you said. It is about objectifying or bringing about a rule set that we all agree upon. It says, okay, here's what we do when X happens, whether that's pass the buck or how to decide on this strategic direction of this project or the DAO as a whole. And so I think of automation in this sense as less of it creating its own rule set and mechanics to help humans agree on what those rules are, and kind of what Ivan was talking about, help us be consistent about applying those rules as well. And so the first subset of the automation work that we'll do is to just automate this role work. Like the election didn't go out on time, or the person in charge of elections isn't doing the thing, or transferring. Right now it's simple things like moving our Discord role around. The stakes are relatively low, but it acts as a really wonderful experimentation grounds, I think, for how can we think about governance in this light. BanklessDAO is one of the largest DAOs ever made.
Yeah.
It was created in an instant, in a single day, when thousands of people minted their airdrop and came in and joined and wanted to contribute. And it is a terrifying experiment of human coordination. And we've done lots of things to execute and come together and build structures that help us navigate what doing something like that takes. And so we've come to a place where it's time to inject a little bit more automation into the things we figured out. Put hundreds and even thousands of people together, you would naturally create little structures and teams and squads and ways to organize ourselves. But so far, lots of that stuff is built on trust. It's built on a keen hive mind, almost, of, oh yeah, this all seems reasonable. Let's go forward with this plan. But still working on things like accountability and KPIs and automation to enforce our learnings. So I think that automation in this sense and AI writing code, like you mentioned, might just be the ancillary tools that aid us in coming to easy consensus, especially in things like fighting burnout for voting engagement and burnout of putting together these manual tasks again and again. So I hope that helps speak to your thought process there.
Yeah. Ivan, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I like how you said easy consensus, because I think that sometimes, like you said, it gets a little tedious as BanklessDAO members. And you mentioned that right now the stakes are relatively low, but we're growing so much, and there's so many new guilds opening up, and there's so many new projects opening up, that it's almost like this is the next step. It's necessary because a lot of us members here, we're not full-time. I'm not full-time. I only do a couple hours here and there. So if the person in charge of X, is not doing it, then, there needs to be some automation with being able to get things still running in the DAO. So I definitely agree with James there. We got to get that done quicker. So.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys talk about roles and the assignment of roles, and that's kind of the first process that you're looking at automating. Normally roles are assigned by nominations, by a soft consensus, by a voting process, because you can do the poll bots in Discord. It's interesting because a lot of times people in Discord and in DAOs, I've noticed, and in BanklessDAO, people start just taking on role after role after role. It becomes like a role addiction. And then people find themselves overloaded, and then nothing gets done. And then also in DAOs, you find with all this attempts at decentralization, nothing gets done. It's pretty sluggish because everybody's waiting for somebody to give the permission, and nobody does. So how are these robots going to address that type of stuff?
Yeah, excellent question. I think that it speaks to the core of the kind of burnout and inefficiency that applying democracy to every decision can make. I don't know that that's it's the place. It's a good place to come from. To it's a good base to come from. Okay, how can we apply democracy and decentralization to these problems? But ultimately, it very quickly came to head in like early season 1 of like, we need people to delegate trust to that know what they're talking about, that can decide things. And so that's ultimately where I think the initial spec for roles came out. So roles kind of come to address a couple of different problems. One, that we're delegating trust and decision making and specific powers to a role or an office that can be a group of people that can decide certain things or represent certain things. It also delegates certain remuneration and payment to those people for doing that work. And a third thing, which I forget, but let's take Developers Guild, for example. Developers Guild, I think touts as like 150 members, and there's a certain expectation that once a week on the community call, that someone from the Developers Guild come and speak about what's going on. Hey, what's new in the Developers Guild? And we needed a process for delegating and choosing who's going to do that. And so we wrapped up that responsibility as a part of this guild organizer role. Among other things, guilds are expected to have weekly meetings, and so the notes documentation that is created for that, the recording for that, the issuance of POAPs, and the general management of the flow of that meeting and making sure that it happens. All are things that need to be done. They're all responsibilities that we agree as a group, and ultimately agreed and voted on to create a specific set of responsibilities wrapped in a role. We agree those things need to be done. And so that's how we can kind of take the best of decentralization and democracy and say, okay, we have this stuff that needs to be done. We'll all be in charge, and we all have circuit breakers to change the system if we need to, but we need some efficiency here to allow for this process to continue. So we created roles. And we say, okay, guild organizer, there's 13 weeks in the season. We'll allocate 10,000 bank a week for that because we think it's about that much work. We expect that they'll do this amount of responsibilities and be kind of a leader in doing these things. And then at the end of the season, we'll have re-elections, for the next set, and that's where the bot comes in. So the way that automating things will work, and the governance bot that we're creating, GovBot, will be kind of two-factor. One is to create that role set as code. Say, okay, we are establishing a guild organizer. We certify that it has this payout strategy. We certify that it has these responsibilities. We also say that it would be reelected every 3 months, that this is the mechanic for how to kick this person out if they are doing a bad job. And what does consensus look like, or the minimum amount of people that need to vote, quorum, etc., to say, to make this a very clear win if someone breaches a threshold. And there are lots of different election strategies out there that you could effectively codify as a rule set in code. And then the second thing that the bot would do is it would take that spec file and say, okay, here's my list of instructions, run. And so the bot, instead of me as a person, me specifically James, I am going and creating those seshbot polls to say, okay, who how do we vote on this thing? Who wants to run? That's just the manual effort right now of going and sourcing those things. But by empowering and managing a bot to do that thing automatically, December 1st, that election is happening. No matter if I'm sick or not, or if I'm present or not, or if I'm malicious or not. So automation is going to be a tricky beast, but that's the key, I think, that we're trying to drive at here, is that we as a guild, or as a project, or as a DAO, agree on the terms of this thing, and we expect that this thing should be done, and we can then automate it. And so automation comes after that consensus. It comes after the trial and error of figuring out what thing worked, what thing didn't work. Should this be 6 months or 1 month, or should this this role be an office and controlled by multiple people? What are the exit strategies? Like thinking about those things was an evolution. It might be obvious to us now to say, oh, we should have a thing. We should have a button that says, kick this person out. But like that wasn't necessarily the first most obvious thing that we were considered when we were in the thick of it, creating these roles for the first time from the chaos of nothing. So that's what I see the role of automation and the context there with the GovBot.
Wow, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and this is huge. It's a big topic. Ivan, do you have any thoughts? I have a couple of thoughts, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
No, you know what? James explained it so well here. You know, I when we first spoke and he was explaining it to me, I kind of had the look you just had, John. You're just like, man, there's so many possibilities, and there is, because you know, right now, you know, the person who's in charge of delegating or doing this work, you know, they're basically now going to have energy to do X, Y, or Z, some other, you know, product or step. And then we all agreed that this is a role that we need, and the consensus is there, and it's being created every 3 months. And yeah, no, that's awesome. There's nothing I can add to it.
Okay, so there's this whole formation process of the protocol, and you guys have to form that protocol and put time into finding that protocol first. How does okay, I'm trying to think of how this would actually work if I'm sitting at a computer and going into Discord, and what do I click on? How do I go and initiate this bot? What does this look like on the screen to somebody?
Yeah, so let's start from the consumer side of things.
Okay.
You are a member. You want to stretch your governance rights. You want to vote. Bot would show up when it's time. You know, it's January 1st. It's the end of the season. The bot will post a message in Discord, much like Seshbot polls would, or reaction polls, and it would say, "Hey, this role is up for re-election. Click this button if you want to apply." You click the
Okay,
button.
so it tags, you know, AV guild, or it tags everyone, or, you know,
Oh yeah,
governance guild, whatever guild is. Okay, all right.
and then yeah, you get that tag. You would say, okay, I want to apply. I want to apply for the guild organizer position or talent coordinator, or whatever. And I might post several messages, and an optimization after that might be a larger kind of ballot where the whole thing is bricked up into one thing as opposed to individuals. But we work within the limitations of our technology, and we'll start small.
Yeah.
So you get this thing. Okay, I want to add my name. You have a week. Like the spec file says, okay, we give a week, we give 2 weeks, we give a month for you to raise your hand. And at the end of that period, the bot will close automatically. You try to apply. I'm sorry, the thing is closed. And we'll probably need some oversight checks and things like that if no one applied, or there's a logistical reason why someone needs to apply late. So I think there are some definitely manual checks and balances that exist over top of the bot, as there should be. But I digress. So after that 2 weeks closes, we have our people who have raised their hand. The bot will say, hey, the election is on at DevGuild. The election is on. Here are the people. Vote for them. And the spec file, the specifications file might say, you can vote for one person. You can rank choice. You can vote for just many people. You can do anything that technology can do in electioning. Apply as long as it fits in within Discord, TM, and you can move this outside Discord as well and have its own interface there. But we try to be as Discord native as possible. I agree that that's bad for everyone who might point that out, but we're going to operate within the efficient mindset of engaging with our user where they are, and that user is in Discord for the BanklessDAO. So that post will go up in Discord and say, "Hey, who do you vote for?" I click 1, 2, and 3. My votes are tallied. My votes are tallied secretly, which is a very big thing in using Seshbot right now, is that votes are tallied live.
Yeah.
You can publicly see who voted for them. And so it can be an immediate popularity contest. 3 people
Mhm.
jump in and vote on option A. It'll clearly say option A is the clear answer, and so
Mhm.
it'll bias you in your decision making, especially for people who don't know the options very well. And so GovBot will allow for you to secretly vote, and it will secretly tally and distribute those results in a zero knowledge way, quote unquote zero knowledge way, as in you don't know, the bot knows, and there are some centralized issues there, like with how that process could go.
You could call the bot Alibaba's Alibaba's cave.
And so we can issue some things like that, like you can publish the votes later, or have an election committee look at it. There are optimizations in that direction,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. But following the path of least resistance, the happy path, being able to click right in there. And then again, after a week, whatever the spec file says, bot says, hey, this person is the winner because we've determined ahead of time, here's how winning exists. And there are tie scenarios. There are scenarios where the bot's gonna be like, no one applied, no one's the clear victor, automated runoff election, or raise to the election committee or guild organizer or whatever to handle it from there. So the bot is first and foremost going to be lots of happy path with manual exits, but that's the gist of it. And then the admin side, creating that spec file. The shorter answer is going to be probably pretty complicated. There are a lot of steps in there I just mentioned in referring to the spec file with the different pieces of that process and defining what those are. And there are a lot of different ways to run an election. And so the bot is going to be pretty beastly. But at the end of the day, you are creating like some sort of JSON or some sort of code file that's going to say, here's how election is. Elections as code. Like it's such a cool concept that is probably ridden with ways to make mistakes. But we are here for it, and we are here to try.
I mean, that's what DAOs are right now. They're just all social experiments. I mean, the pace at which people are experimenting with economics, with sociology, with statistics, with everything is just mind blowing. And every DAO is kind of having their own experimental society going on with different versions of UBI or elections, automated governance here. It's insane. So I'm seeing here in the election specs, there's one duration. You can set that. You can set the consensus, and you can set the compensation for that. A duration, obviously, how long is the election going? Compensation, yeah. What does the when the person is voted into the role, what do they get? And that automatically triggers. So there's nobody messing around with wallets and stuff. And then, but what exactly does consensus mean?
Yeah, consensus, we'll just say is a broad term for how do we agree that this person is the winner.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then like election as well. Like how many people do you vote on? Like, but consensus broadly is how do we agree? Is it like 2/3 of people voted for this person, they're the winner, or is it the person with the most votes won, or is it first the top 2 people are put into a runoff election, and then the top person won, or we have to continue having runoff elections until we reach a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
And so that's the consensus piece of that. So a little.
What about token weighting?
Lots of things. Tokens are really interesting. So we kind of start right here if you want to get into it. Tokens are fun. Big topic. Big topic.
Okay. All right. We don't have to go down there just yet.
Oh, I'd love to. I can.
Okay, let's do it.
I can talk the whole show. So right now we kind of talked about you vote on a person. That's the one person, one vote rule. Decently applied, especially in small sub communities, sub DAOs like Dev Guild or whatever. In the broader DAO, maybe token weighting is much more important.
Yeah.
I actually really like the nested idea that large super decisions about what to do with the community treasury of the entire DAO. Token weighting makes a lot more sense, but in smaller communities, we might gate the who can vote and membership. Geez, what a giant topic that could be. Because it's easy to say out loud, there's the members vote.
Yeah.
The members vote.
Yeah.
How do you determine who the members are? And everyone's going to be different. But one of the easiest outcomes of when you determine membership is to have a token. And whether that token's an NFT that says member, or season 3 member, and you need to go get your season 4 membership badge, or whether your token is dev guild tokens. You accumulate a number of tokens for participating in governance, and I don't know, whatever. And so you, as a token holder, are therefore a member. Or we define membership as you pay a monthly tithe, or we define membership as you showed up in Discord. So tokenized voting, I think, is really interesting, and there's no one obvious answer for every scenario. And I think that it comes down to, in the same way that voting does, and decentralized voting, it needs to solve the problem in an effective way, and offer the safeguards of abuse as well. So, like, having the exits for the roles. So, like, we give a person a role, and we also have this ability to take it away. We have the safeguards there with centralizing power and removing it. Tokens are the same way. Like, token, if you were taking an ERC20 token and give the ability for whales to come and sweep in, you have to protect against a single large holder pushing their agenda and making every vote in their favor. And you can do that with quadratic voting. You can do that with having one person, one vote with NFTs, or applying digital identity in specific ways. But I digress. It's a big question, and it needs to be well thought out for everything. And so when it comes to automating these things in spec files, for example, it's going to take a lot of research. One of the very first things we have to do is go understand how all these guilds run their elections, how all these guilds understand what membership is. Setchbot polls simply run on, do you have the guild tag?
Yeah.
That is not a good enough thing in the long run. It's fine
a good starting point,
Starting point, yes, I agree. But it is not good enough in the long term. And in the same vein as automating governance, we need to automate membership for those governance processes in these sub-communities. So it's tough all around, and not a lot. There are other communities, I imagine, that are working on similar things. But we here at BanklessDAO find ourselves wrestling with those problems in the unique set of sub-communities that we've created. And it's straight up Wild West.
Yeah.
Green field out here. Very stressful.
DAOs aren't supposed to be stressful.
Man.
I think one thing I wanted to add to James is, as when I started, very new, and I see all these new people starting, I think governance and the automation process also allows the newer people to understand what is happening, when it's happening, and what are my metrics, what do I have to shoot for. And right now it's very much I don't want to say it's a popularity, but yes, I mean, if you could see who voted for who, and that they're your buddies or whatever, or you're in the same guild and you're like, cool, I'm going to support my guild and we're going to vote for this person, then but having them actually need to read the person's bio or what they're going to accomplish, and then be able to hold the person accountable to those KPIs is really important for new people as well, because then they understand what they should be striving for. And then eventually, maybe something like tokenized voting could be more in play, because people are more vested. They're actually more engaged, because right now it's very part-time, the way I see it.
Yeah, a lot of people are teetering on the edge of quitting their full-time day jobs, like myself, and gonna go full-time DAO. I think we're gonna see a huge flood of people going full-time DAO this year, including myself. And I know a lot of people in the BanklessDAO already have. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this affects a lot of these roles. You did mention that it's made for Discord right now, and you're focusing on Discord because that is where a lot of this action is going on. This is where most of actually all the DAOs that I know of are done through Discord. So naturally, you want to make some processes and protocols that are catered towards the Discord experience, even though Discord was originally made for gamers and is focused on the gaming community. And when they tried to implement Ethereum, it got smacked down real hard, real quick, because the gamers didn't want anything to do with cryptocurrency. So are you familiar with Aragon and Claros and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, these automated, I guess, arbitration and governance systems.
Mm-hmm.
Those are standalone DAO automation tools. I'm wondering, do some of these principles? I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with those, and I'm not that familiar. But how would some of these be able to cross over, or maybe they could start making some bridges between to be able to transition DAOs out of Discord? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Couple
Because
things to
unless
note on
Discord
your end.
evolves, there's going to be, we're going to kind of hit a wall to where people are eventually either going to create their own DAO automated systems, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like, Discord has become the native platform for DAOs because it offers the best mechanism for developing a community. And likewise, Discord knows this as well, and they are pivoting, from gaming to communities.
Yeah.
In that way, I think as an olive branch towards this type of approach. So it just felt it's a very natural place to organize. The ability for you to spin up a server and have a single identity that you can bring across to each. It just is a very natural extension. Plus, all the DAOs are there. So if you're creating a new DAO and you want to work with other people, all of your members who are maybe in other DAOs are going to be like, "Where's our Discord?" So there's a very strong draw and consensus around using Discord. Platforms like Aragon or Colony, they're really thoughtful. These people are extremely intelligent. Like some of the stuff that Colony is doing with regard to earning a reputation and having that reputation decay, extremely thoughtful stuff. It has a core problem, and that is that it's a separate platform. Like the reason that we are starting with GovBot, the reason that we're starting with things that are not necessarily on chain or token voted is because they are a natural extension of the processes and the efficient ways that the current DAO operates. And we want to make doing this thing easier.
Yeah.
And pushing this thing out to another platform, especially at the scale, like moving to Colony, for example. Moving to Colony would require likely the entire BanklessDAO, all the guilds and projects, to all move to maintain an interoperability. That was my understanding at the time with regard to having bank token or a token representing their system of reputation across all these things. And so it felt to me kind of like a very challenging and daunting task. And so one of the very great mantras that I picked up both on 2021, I think I picked it up from Frog Monkey, was progressive decentralization. And so we are where we are now.
Yeah.
What is the next, quoting from Frozen 2, what is the next best thing? Do the next best
You have
thing.
kids.
I do have kids. Frozen 2 rocks. No, way better than Frozen 1.
I agree.
Anyway, so that's why we find ourselves in this like bind between like I have a heart for decentralization. I will want to drive and be in a place where we're on Colony and like this thing is token run and reputation weighted and like on chain. Like that's the goal that we need to build towards. But BanklessDAO and the projects and the guilds are trying to efficiently like create products and work together and like go to market, and that requires some amount of centralization and it requires operating where we are. If we were to create a community from scratch, if I was to be like, hey guys, let's all work together and create a new DAO, right? We could probably like, oh, let's go create a Colony. Like we can use their systems and start from that place.
Mhm.
BanklessDAO was straight up dropped on everyone, and it was
Yeah.
just chaos. It was a beautiful, wonderful chaos of trust and like engagement. Like, oh, season 0 was just. I don't know how we got through it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I could not keep up with.
I got
with
in
what
right
everyone
at the coordinate end round of season 0, and yeah, I got my airdrop and I kind of just started jumping in, and it's fire hose. It's still a fire hose, and you
Fire
just
hose.
kind of just jump in, and it's so big. But you're right. I love what you're saying about meeting people where they are. You know, yeah, you could jump out and create the hot new Ferrari, of DAOs, and be a total DAO nerd, and the DAO nerds would love to go over there and use all these sleek new processes and stuff like that, but people aren't ready for it yet. They're still learning Discord. A lot of people, and all the other DAOs right now are using Discord. So yeah,
But let's say once, so Discord has a core challenge, and then maybe if they had the native wallet feature, they could better address.
Mm-hmm.
But my ability on Discord, within Discord, to vote with my tokens, say, or hard vote with my tokens, do an on-chain transaction, like tipping. Tipping is a great example also.
Mm-hmm.
Requires that you sign transactions, and that is not a good experience in Discord. It requires you to kind of go offsite and come back, and
Mm-hmm.
properly signing things means that someone has to have your private key to sign the thing. That's the trick about it. And I think that if we were to have a Discord hot wallet tied to your identity, that you use your core identity and approve, that my Discord hot wallet can act on my behalf and vote on my behalf, and that inherits my tokens or whatever, and build systems like that, maybe we could integrate and build in that direction. But it's a really difficult problem to build a Discord native interface to do this stuff without having to go off and do it somewhere else. And so part of GovBot and part of probably tipping is going to be, here's the link.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the link to go do the more aggressive, the more decentralized thing.
Yeah.
And so that takes us away from that native, that flow, that ease of use.
Yeah.
And it's the trade-off. And so until Discord, and I don't even know that that's a guarantee that Discord's native wallet would allow for us to solve this problem. So it might always be a trade-off for decentralizing these processes on chain versus having our quote-unquote soft and firm consensus through Discord. And there's room for both, I think. So yeah, it's
well said. Well said. Ivan, do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree. Well said, my friend. James is awesome.
Thanks. I agree.
Nice.
Well, we're coming up here on the time. Hold on. Let's see. We got a chat here. Oh, somebody. I wasn't paying attention to the chat. I'm sorry. Simple. It says Unido Udo #Unido #Udo. Ferrari is a bad liability. LOL. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I could buy 7 Ferraris if I wanted, but I drive a 2006 Honda Civic instead. So. Yeah, and you don't give a 16-year-old the keys to a Ferrari. You give them a hoopty at first, and not saying that Discord is a hoopty or the DAO is a hoopty, but there's Colony and Aragon and stuff like that. They're streamlined for the pros right now, and a lot of people just jumping into the space or even just trying to figure out what a DAO is at this point, or even crypto for that matter. Yeah,
definitely agree.
Yeah. So thanks for your comments, Simple. I'm sorry I didn't see them until now. I'm not used to people actually interacting with me live on the show. So, all right. Well, yeah, I'm at 45 minutes and I got to get about my work day. But I appreciate you guys coming on. Where can people find you and where can we continue this conversation?
Yeah, I suppose people can find me in our Discord. Hey, BanklessDAO Discord. Come stop by, say hello, grab a guest pass, get involved. We're building the future of work. It's really hard and really fun, and you'll find the most engaged, intelligent people in Web3 there. I'm also on Twitter at at WP Monty. Sorry, it's from a previous life when I worked in WordPress. So, but yeah, otherwise known as JamesWMontgomery.eth. So, yeah.
Right on. Ivan?
Nice. You can find me also on Discord. I kind of go by the same name, Ivan7538. You can find me on Twitter as well with the same handle. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah, come join BanklessDAO. We'll talk to any of us. We'll get you a guest pass and join a guild, get a guild tag. And you can, if you're interested in governance too, come listen in on the meetings and everything like that, and get in where you fit in. A lot of times, if you just show up to meetings and somebody will pass you a broom eventually, and then you can start chipping in. That's when people say, well, how do I get involved and all that stuff? Just hang around. People will see consistency. People love consistency. And then if they recognize your handle and your face or your typing, then you'll get involved before you know it, and then eventually people will just start passing you more tasks than you know what to do with. So
couldn't agree more.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Let me do the outro roll, and we'll see you on the flip side. And I will see my audience tomorrow morning as per usual.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for making it to the end of this program. If you actually like this content, give a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more, just hit the subscribe button. I'm available on YouTube, Odyssey, and BitChute, and on all the major podcasting platforms in audio version. Spotify specifically. If you would like to follow and leave a review, that would help a lot. I am also available on Twitter at EurekaJohn1. That's EUREKA John, JOHN, and the number 1. My DMs are always open. Feel free to shoot me a message. Thanks again.